mentioned in the agenda, we have 2 projects that we've been working on prior to the composting project that sort of piqued our interests in looking at potential solutions for sargassum. And this is the work of Laura Tomanchuk, focused on looking at trends in marine bacteria and sargassum in Miami-Dade County. Next slide, please. In Miami-Dade County, the Florida Healthy Beaches Program through the Department of Health monitors 18 beaches. The locations of those beaches are shown to the right. We also have the locations of the 2 wastewater treatment plant outfalls identified there for reference. And we also separated all of the 18 beaches into 4 regional zones to make it a little more manageable to analyze the data. And what we were looking at is to determine whether or not the increases in the beach advisories issued for Miami-Dade County, is it specific to one beach or is it regional? So next slide, please. So these are the beach advisories that have been issued by Miami-Dade County Department of Health. Is shown by the heavy black lines here. And we can see that from the year 2012 to the present, the number of beach advisories based on the measurements of enterococci in the water have increased by a lot. It's important to keep in mind that during this period of time, the regulatory threshold has changed from 104 CFU colony forming units to 70 colony forming units per 100 milliliters. And we were curious to find out, well, is it the number of advisors increasing because of the change in the threshold, or is there really a true change in the water quality? So we went back and looked at the water quality specifically. Next slide, please. And looked at the enterococci levels. Instead of calculating it based on a threshold, we just calculated the enterococci levels, CFU per 100 mils. And what we can see is from 2015 onwards, all of the beaches, given by the heavy black line there, have been increasing in terms of the bacteria levels for enterococci. And this is true for each of the 4 regions, and even for the individual beaches. Putting all beaches here would be too cluttered, but you can see that there's a general increase. Afifa, if you can do a click for the animation. Thank you. At the bottom, we have the same analysis, but based on a constant threshold. So we looked at the water quality over time, and then applying a consistent threshold of 70 CFU per 100 mils. Again, we still see that increase in the bacteria, in the number of advisories that would have been issued. Next slide, please. So Laura then decided, well, I mean, this is something that's happening regionally. Why? What is it correlating with? So she looked at environmental parameters. She looked at infrastructure. She looked at population, and found that amongst the parameters she evaluated, next slide, for the animation, please. Okay, yeah, there were 4 parameters that correlated with the bacteria levels. They included temperature, they included sea level, they included population, or the number of people that go to the beach, and then also it correlated with sargassum. Sargassum as measured by a study at, on the west coast of Florida, looking at the Sargasso Sea, and also numbers from the city of Fort Lauderdale. Next slide, please. And amongst all of the parameters that were looked at, the sargassum had the most significant relationship with the enterococci levels and the increase in enterococci levels at 95% confidence limits. Next slide, please. And so we were thinking, well, what is going on? What can be contributing to this? We think that both the bacteria and the sargassum may be fueled by the same environmental drivers, such as warming temperatures of the waters, climate change, and nutrient enrichments. Next slide,